Over the last year, I have been meticulously studying Jesus' teachings. What started out as love for his teachings quickly turned into a realization that the reason this man had so much influence in the world isn't just because of the quality of his ideas, it was the quality of his speaking. I believe the world is shaped by those who learn how to move people, and there is truly no greater example in the history of humankind than this man, Jesus of Nazareth. I mean, he is literally the most famous person in history. I wanted to find out what made him so influential and what made him so magnetic that so when he spoke, people literally went, he is the Son of God, and they sacrificed their whole lives for him. So what I did is I noted down 5 things that I'm going to share with you today, and I promise you want to stay until the end because I saved the best for last. You are about to change your life because these principles are what allowed me to go from being bullied, socially anxious, terrified of speaking in front of a crowd to today getting paid to speak on stages, building a 6-figure audience online, closing hundreds of deals as a result, having a beautiful social life I'm so grateful for, but most importantly, launching Born to Speak, which is on its way to become the #1 school community for public speaking, influence, and charisma. So how the heck does that transformation happen? Well, it's exactly what I'm about to share with you today. It's by studying the greats. It's by studying the greatest speakers and leaders of all time, noticing the patterns, and then noting them down and drilling them, challenging myself, exposing myself, immersing myself in them. So enjoy. Pillar number 1, storytelling. If you pay attention to the Bible, or if you watch the Chosen series, or any movie where Jesus has ever been portrayed, you will notice that he almost never speaks in facts, he almost never speaks in theory. It's all metaphors, it's all analogies, it's all stories. Because you remember when I said the world is shaped by those who learn how to move people? There's no greater skill to move people than stories. What is war? What is religion? What are prophecies? It's all stories. Theory doesn't move people, stories do. We share stories so that we move people emotionally and then we justify it with logic. That's how influence works. If I call this video 5 principles to speak better, it won't grab anyone's attention. You won't listen. But now it's about Jesus. Now it's about the transformation I went through by learning Jesus' teachings and his way of speaking. Now it's all framed, it's all packaged within a story. That's why it's so important. Matter of fact, when I host my workshops in Born to Speak, sometimes I tell guys randomly, hey, share a story with us out of nowhere, improvisation. Why? Because this is what they will need the most in their lives. This is the most important skill. I mean, the process of learning is literally associating something new with something you already know. This is why whenever you teach something new, you want to back it up with a story, with a metaphor, something that people would understand immediately. All right, pillar number 2, his courage. His courage. Perhaps one of the most courageous people in history. The ability to say out loud, to fight for the truth, to say things that people would never have the balls to say. It's automatic leadership. It's automatic authority, respect, charisma. People crave that. People crave that. That's why I don't want to compare them both. Don't get me wrong. But that's why young men today are following Tate almost religiously. It is the same principle. It's his ability to say things out loud that they would never have the guts to say, and now when he does it, oh my God, he wins their respect. A third pillar I noticed in Jesus' speaking is that he speaks with questions much more than affirmations, or at least just as many. For example, very often, whenever he's put on the spot, whenever people challenge him with a question, he would either completely ignore them or he would ask a question in return and then follow it by an affirmation. You want to use questions 80% of the time when you're in a process of influence. For example, on a sales call. Let's make it relevant to the world today. When you're on a sales call with a prospect, I want you to ask questions 80% of the time. Why? Because you want to trigger what's called self-influence. You want the person to arrive to the conclusion you want them to arrive to by themselves. You want to plant the seeds of an idea in their minds, and the way you do that is by letting them use their own intrinsic motivations. This is what questions do. You get people to arrive to the conclusion by themselves. And when they have done that, the influence is much more powerful than if you forced it upon them with extrinsic motivation. Now, this is quite ironic because Christianity today, a lot of Christians are trying to force their view upon the world. You see a random guy screaming in the street about the power of Jesus or how he saved him, and he's trying to push it, shove it in your face. That doesn't work. That's not how Jesus was teaching it. It's through questions. And by the way, before we move to point number 4, if you're enjoying the way I'm teaching right now, if you enjoy the ideas that I'm sharing here, that is awesome because I'm dropping daily videos on YouTube. It's enough sauce for you to already experience progress in your life when it comes to speaking, influence, charisma. But if you're the type of person that wants to go all in, you want to really experience the fastest process possible, just like I did in my transformation journey, then you want to experience 2 things. Number 1, proximity. Number 2, immersion. Proximity is power. You want to experience progress fast? Get close to people that already have what you want. And you want to educate yourself fast? What is better? If you want to learn a language, Duolingo on a little app, 15 minutes per day, or being dropped in the middle of a country that only speaks that language and the only thing you can do is speak that language if you want to survive. What will make you learn the language faster? It's immersion. Nothing beats immersion. That is why I created Born to Speak. It's based on these 2 principles. So if you want to join a bunch of guys in business, sales, content creation, building their personal brands, then you want to join Born to Speak, where we host live workshops, all sorts of different challenges. We put each other out of our comfort zone. We give each other live feedback through immersion. We give each other feedback on our speaking, our content, all of that for free. You know where to find me. I will see you there on the other side. In the meantime, let's go to point number 4, which is the complete opposite of what I just did. His calmness, his stillness, his presence. If you watch the movies, at least, because we'll never be able to see him on video, unfortunately, but we can see movies that are beautiful representations. If you watch the movies and you pay attention to how he reacts, matter of fact, how he doesn't react. He would get challenged, attacked, and he would just either ignore it, like I said, or he would just turn around slowly, look at them, and hold this beautiful, grounded, present eye contact that just makes you experience peace. It's so powerful. It's so charismatic. Paradoxically, the fact he's so unfazed, the fact he's so unmoved, moves you. This is the power of stillness. Guys think that in order to be influential, you have to be this super energetic force. Not always. You want to have both, though. You see him getting mad. At one point, he's destroying the whole commerce. He can be very, very powerful. But you also want to have the stillness part. You want to have the variety. You want to have the contrast. When stillness is required from you, you want to be able to immediately go into that state. And talking about state, this is what the next point is about. His certainty. If we're talking about certainty, there's literally no better example than Jesus. Whether you believe he was literally the Son of God or he was a very powerful spiritual teacher, let's look at it objectively. Jesus as the man, as the human being on this planet, he would say, I and the Father are one. And he would declare that in the face of someone who's about to throw rocks at him for blasphemy. He had what I call divine certainty. He literally had God's certainty in his soul, in his heart, in his being. And again, the healings he did, whether you believe it is literally because of a miracle of God, or if you look at it from a scientific perspective, from the perspective of neuroscience, what about the placebo effect? Where you can believe in something so powerfully, it even heals your biology. It has been proven more and more lately. So his certainty, when he's looking at someone and saying, your sins are forgiven, he would look at them with so much certainty, the person would surrender into that belief, and that belief would heal them. You can look at it from that perspective as well. It is so powerful. That's why I said it's the most powerful point of them all, certainty. And what is certainty, by the way? It's a state. It's a state Now, I'm not saying he knew that by heart and he was thinking about the state triad. He was most likely gifted with it, but who knows? Maybe in the unknown years where no one knows where Jesus went, maybe that's what he was practicing. Who knows? We'll never know. However, we can know today that there are three components of state management. Number one is the physiology. Let's say right now I was talking to you like this. Hi. Today I'm going to be sharing what I learned about Jesus. Maybe it will help you. I don't know. Somebody get that guy out of here. You can see the immediate difference in the physiology, the posture, my hand gestures, my facial expressions, my vocal projection, and you guys receive me in a completely different way. If I was making the whole video like this, you would have never listened. There's no way you would have stayed until the end. Impossible. So that's the power of physiology. Now, the second thing is focus. Focus is where, when I was like this, I was focused on all the times I was embarrassed, I failed, I couldn't share what I truly cared about. Versus if I'm thinking about all the testimonials I have, all the people I've helped, all the years of practice I've had, all the transformation I've experienced, who I'm talking about, Jesus. Focus will completely shift the way I deliver my speech. Where focus goes, energy flows. Now, last but not least is the language. The language I'm using when I use things like maybe. I don't know. A lot of you guys are caught in that habit. I don't know if that makes sense. Versus Jesus going, I and the Father are one. How about that? I and God are one. The kingdom of heaven is within you. Oh, so powerful. The power of language. Power of language. We were talking about stories earlier. That's a full circle. That's language. And what is the most powerful form of stories? The story of who we believe we are. Again, Jesus said, I and the Father are one. How about that as an identity shifting? Huh? What is your story? Who do you believe you are? How different is that from who Jesus believed he was? I'm not saying you need to believe you're the Messiah. I'm saying what you believe about yourself will completely change the way you show up. And what is identity built on? It's built on proof. Now, I can already hear you saying, because I can hear your thoughts, you go, but Danny, what if I don't have proof yet? What if I have never spoken in front of people? Well, there's this thing called faking it till you make it. Yes, I said it. When I was still diagnosed with social anxiety, which, by the way, language, what would have happened if I listened to that language, huh? When I was diagnosed with social anxiety, I would have that whiteboard, and instead of listening to it, I would start reading books on self-improvement. And whenever I had a chapter that I really resonated with, I immediately started teaching it. Teaching it in my room. Teaching it to who? To no one. To ghosts in my room, but I would interact with them, ask them, raise your hands, make jokes with them, and write their answers on the board. You would have looked at me from the side, you would have gone, that guy's crazy. But why did I do that? Because I was building proof. And when I started having my first speaking gigs, people went, oh, he's a natural. Sure, I'm a natural after years of practicing and building that proof. This is how you become who you want to become. That was my mic drop moment, brothers. I'm done for today. If you want us to dive deeper into that, ask me questions personally about your own situation, connect with me, connect with other guys on the same journey for free, you know where to find me. Otherwise, I'll be seeing you here tomorrow or the day after because I'm posting every single day. All right, I love you. Peace. See you soon.